What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, I am Alex, and I make videos about Magic the Gathering. Oftentimes, it's going to be gameplay, and it's going to be deck techs. But I also have a podcast called Control Freak, so make sure to check that out. Today, we are going to be playing an awesome Pioneer deck. It's mono black aggro. This is a deck that won the first Pioneer PTQ. It was a blast to play. I had a great time filming this video. I'm super excited to play this thing. It seems pretty good too. It seems pretty powerful. And I don't think it was just a fluke. This thing might be here to stay. So if you dig the video though, make sure to smash that like and that subscribe button. And don't forget to hit that bell icon so you get notified every time I post a video. But without further ado, let's get into the video. All right, I'm ready for this deck tech now. Again, mono black aggro. I'm really excited about this deck. Let's get into it. We're playing 24 lands, Castle Lockwayne ×4. Drawing a bunch of extra cards is really good, especially as fast as this deck deploys its cards and its threats. The draw card and lose life equal to the number of cards in your hand, you're only going to be losing maybe 3 life at most. So this card is definitely a must. Then we got 4 Mutavaults. Mutavault, a great beater and just an additional way to apply pressure, and that's what this deck is all about. Applying pressure with recursive threats that just keep on chipping in the damage. And then we just have a bunch of swamps. This is literally it. Just 4 Lockwaynes, 4 Mutavaults, and a bunch of swamps. The mana base is very clean, and you will rarely run into any issues. Moving on to the 1-drops, we've got 21 1-drops. We've got 4 Blood-Soaked Champion. This card is one of the best 1-drops in the deck. It can't block, but we're not interested in blocking. If we're blocking, we're probably going to lose the game anyway, and its raid ability to return it back to the battlefield is just so good. Playing 4 Fatal Push because why not? Again, this is, in my opinion, one of the best removal spells in the format, and it's nice and cheap. We can utilize it really well. Moving on down the line, we got 4 Knight of the Ebon Legion. This is a new card from M20, but it is a house in this deck. Being able to give it +3/+3 and death touch until the end of the turn is very good. And though you won't get to trigger its second ability a lot, when you do, it's absolutely absurd. I definitely think this card is very strong in this deck. Just 1 Gutterbones. This is kind of a similar card to Blood-Soaked Champion, but it does it a little bit worse. So I definitely understand why you would only want to play 1 of these. Moving on down the line, we got Night Market Lookout, and a 1-mana creature that attacks for 2 basically and gains you a life is really strong and kind of like the gimmick of the deck, right? And then we do have some disruption, and now that Veil of Summer just got banned, this is definitely a card that is going to see a lot more play. I've said it in the past, and I will say it again right now. Thoughtseize, in my opinion, is the best card in this entire format. So Thoughtseize, definitely a 4 of. Next up, we got the 2-drop Smuggler's Copter. Just a great beater, a great way to find cards in the late game, and definitely a must if you're going to play an aggro-style deck in this format. Next up, we got an oldie but a goodie. Scrap Heap Scrounger used to give me headaches back in the day, but in this deck, it is so good. Again, it can't block, but being a recursive threat, and it has 3 power, so that is very good. You do beat in with this thing quite often and quite early. Next up, we've got Murderous Rider. Of course, this is the new hotness from Eldraine. Being able to Hero's Downfall a thing and then get a beater on the way back is excellent. Being able to deal with pesky planeswalkers with the downfall ability and then apply pressure afterwards is definitely great. And then the only card other than Gutterbones that isn't a 4 of, Rankle, Master of Pranks, and holy smokes. There is a reason that in the intro, Rankle is the picture behind me, because holy smokes, Rankle is an absolute house. You'll see in the gameplay. It's just so good. Being able to have your opponent discard a card whenever you're hellbent or having them lose a life is excellent. And sometimes I guess you would use the sacrifice a creature ability, but not too often. And it's flying haste. You just get in for 3 every single time almost when you attack with it. Moving on to the sideboard, we got 2 disfigures, just because you do want to be able to move those little creatures out of the way and just continue the pressure. Then we got 4 duress. This card, obviously tried and true. One of the oldest but best ways to pick apart your opponent's hand. Great against control, great against combo. And then we have 1 Singleton Rune Raider. This card acts as a pseudo-Dark Confidant, so I definitely see why it's in here. And it's a pretty big beater with 3 power. Next up, we have Kite Sail Freebooter. This card is great, obviously great against the decks that are going to try and take you to the late game. And some of the grindy matchups, this is definitely great. It's a flyer, too. Doesn't really look like it by the picture, but definitely a flyer. And then, of course, we have Noxious Grasp. Have to kill Teferis, have to kill Okos. Noxious Grasp is absolutely a card that we want access to. Some decks are even playing it in the main in Pioneer, which is insane. And last but not least, Kalitas, Trader of Get. One of the best ways to fight the burn decks and the heavy aggro decks. Obviously, we are a heavy aggro deck ourselves, but being able to gum up the board and gain some life, and of course, get those sweet, sweet zombies. This card's definitely great in this deck, and I just love that art. It's so great. All right, let's get into the gameplay. All right, we take a look at our opening hand in Game 1. We've got Night Market, Lookout, Rankle, Master of Pranks, Murderous Rider, Mutavault, Bloodsoaked Champion, and a couple of Swamps. This hand is our perfect hand, basically. We definitely wanted to keep it. Our opponent was on the play. They played Breeding Pool and passed it right back. Of course, we go Swamp. Night Market, Lookout. Again, card is excellent. They, in response, opt. Kind of weird that they opted, no pun intended, to play the Breeding Pool tapped, but I guess that kind of makes sense. Want to get your value when you can. We draw a Swamp for turn, attack for 2, essentially, play our land, and a Bloodsoaked Champion. They Abrupt Decay, and that's fine. Bloodsoaked Champion can come right back. They then Abrupt Decay the Night Market, Lookout, and then pass back. We play a Swamp and play the Bloodsoaked Champion that we drew. Pretty solid draw. And pass back. They play a Lumbering Falls and pass back. We draw Murderous Rider. They then opt in our main phase. Super interesting. We attack with Bloodsoaked Champion and take them to 12. Main phase 2, we raid in a Bloodsoaked Champion, play our Mutavault, and pass back. They play Overgrown Tomb, tap, and pass back. We draw and play a Thoughtseize. They Fatal Push one of our Bloodsoaked Champions, and then Sultai Charm our other Bloodsoaked Champion, so it destroys a monocolored creature. Super, super interesting card choices by our opponent. And then we see Dig Through Time and Syncopate. Gotta take that Dig Through Time. We play our land, and then cast Rankle and bash in. We chose the ability to discard, so now we know that they are Hellbent, and we have a Murderous Rider in our hand. They just play a Breeding Pool tapped and pass it right back. We draw Night Market, Lookout, bash in with Rankle. I chose the ability of lose 1 life and draw a card. Probably a mistake in hindsight, but we did draw a Copter, so can't be too mad at it. We then play Night Market, Lookout, which unfortunately they played Void Shatter, so super awkward that we just gave them that card. They just pass right back after drawing their card for turn. We fire up the Mutavault, then fire up the Smuggler's Copter, and they Fatal Push it. So super awkward turn of events there. Definitely think that activating that Rankle there and letting them draw a card was just incorrect. Blow me up in the comments section, please. And I chose actually not to activate it because I wanted both Murderous Rider and Castle Lochwain. They drew their card for the turn and scooped it up. On to Game 2. All right, Game 2, our opponent is on the play. They play Watery Grave untapped and pass back. We play Swamp and cast Night Market, Lookout. Again, our hand not quite as aggressive as last time, but I felt like it was good enough. They Fatal Push at the end of the turn, shock in their Breeding Pool, and pass. We find Bloodsoaked Champion, but first we're going to see what's in their hand. They then Syncopate. Yikes, probably could have played one of our lands and saved the Syncopate, but actually I think that's fine. I think it's perfectly fine because we get to land the Bloodsoaked Champion this turn. We pass back. They miss their land drop, so that's super good for us. We play Castle Lockwane, bash in with the Blood-Soaked Champ, cast Smuggler's Copter, and pitch it right back to them. They find their third land in Island and pass right back. We play a second Castle Lockwane. First off, I want to say, how in the world are these lands not legendary? They're so strong. And you would think that they would be, based on their names. We go ahead and cast Rankle. Unfortunately, they have another Syncopate, so unfortunately, we can't pay that one, so it is exiled and countered. We fire up the Copter, though. They then Fatal Push the Copter, and all we have to do is pass back. They find Fabled Passage, crack it, find a swamp, and cast Kalitas, Trader of Get, which is about to meet its end with this Swift End that we have in our hand. We then cast Scrap Heap Scrounger, and attack in for 2. They cast Opt, play their Hinterland Harbor, and pass back. We draw Night Market Lookout, but we activate Castle Lockwane. Of course, like I said, losing 2 life in this scenario is not bad at all. We attack in for 5. They take it. We cast Night Market Lookout, and they Void Shatter it. So they are on the ropes, and I kind of knew they were on the ropes too at this point. We activate Castle Lockwane, finding us a Mutavault. So we're just going to have a bunch of pressure here and really just overload the board. They Abrupt Decay the Scrap Heap Scrounger, but that's fine because we cast the Smuggler's Copter, and we can reanimate the Scrap Heap Scrounger next turn, which is exactly what they do after they just pass back. We then crew the Smuggler's Copter. They Abrupt Decay the Smuggler's Copter, so they had a bunch of removal. I was thinking this was going to be the Sultai mid-range deck. It was actually Sultai Control by the looks of it. We then play the Scrap Heap from our hand and pass back. They play a Drowned Catacomb and scoop it up. So yeah, that was it. As you can see from our match there, Rankle's the real deal. Rankle is so good in this format. I mean, the ability triggers whenever you attack, which is so good. And you can make them lose life, draw a card, discard a card, or sack a creature. I mean, it's so good. And it has flying, which is super nice, too. What do you all think? Do you think this deck is the real deal, or do you think this is just a flash in the pan? Someone spiked the tournament and just kind of got some free wins with how interesting, and maybe folks weren't ready for it. Either way, let me know in the comments section if you think this deck is here to stay, and if you dig it. Because honestly, I think it's pretty sweet. This isn't usually my kind of deck. I'm usually playing control-style decks or combo decks. An aggro deck definitely isn't my lane, but it was a lot of fun to play, and I really do want to know your feedback. If you dig the content, though, make sure to smash that like and subscribe button. And if you stuck around to the end of the video, make sure to post in the comments section. Get out of my swamp. Anyway, thank you. You are appreciated. Thanks for hanging out and watching the video. Anyway, I'm out.